we're back, kids, and I have with me now Daniel Locke.
Hey.
And you own a different kind of physicians group.
Yeah, we own a physician group called Compassionate Alternative Care. We are a medical marijuana physician group, and that's all we do. You know, we're different from other folks. Yeah.
And so the process in getting a card, for people that don't know, you have to have a pre-existing, like a chronic condition, pain, or...
Yes, sir. The way it works, Tracy, is, and first of all, listen, thank you so much for having me. Ever since you started this project, I've been excited, and I've been thinking, you know what, he might actually reach out to me one day. When you called me and asked me to come, man, you made my day. I'm not lying to you. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you.
All right. So the process is, okay, I get the call all the time. Most folks will call and say, hey, I've got some horrible headaches, okay? I want to come see about getting a card, okay? And then I'm quick to explain to them the problem, the way it's done in Florida, different from a lot of other states, and you hear from other states, so they take those and they think it's going to be done like that in Florida.
Right.
But the way it's done in Florida is our marijuana doctor, Dr. Halprin, is not allowed to diagnose the patient as well as issue them the card. Okay? So the first question I ask somebody is, hey, have you been to a doctor in the last couple of years?
Right.
Okay, because there's some folks, I mean, let's face it, Tracy, you know, marijuana didn't start when it became illegal. You know, the black market was kicking pretty strong prior to legality, okay? So a lot of folks, hey, I've been using marijuana for my anxiety for years. You know, doctor tried to give me Xanax. I knew that marijuana worked for me. Now I want to get legal, but I've never really been diagnosed. Okay, so now, for those type of folks, we do have folks that we can refer to them so they can get the diagnosis they need, then come see our doctor. So if that's the case for anybody, don't hesitate calling us. I can put you in the right direction for folks that can get you diagnosed for those type of things.
And then you have to go through the state to get your card.
Yeah, now some folks will say, hey, look, I've got the diagnosis. Okay, I go over here to UF Health, I go see so-and-so doctor, you know, you know, so what they will do is they'll go on my website and fill out the medical release form, which allows me to reach out to their physician and get a copy of their diagnosis. Right. Okay. So that's how they do it. So we either, you know, we get the diagnosis from them by getting their record. So anyway, that's step number one. Then they have to come in person and see Dr. Halprin. Right. Okay? Right. We've got the diagnosis. Once, and if it's a qualifying condition, you know, the state has so many different things that they say qualify, but then there are associated conditions. For example, there's chronic pain. Right. Okay? Well, one of the associated conditions is migraine headaches, rheumatoid arthritis. Okay? And those type of things are up to the doctor's discretion of what is actually associated with it. Okay, so and then many times now, you know, they're associating chronic pain with MS. It's a different way to do the paperwork, but anyway, so that's the way that they come see the doctor. And then once they see the doctor, they're actually approved for the card at that time. Right. Okay. Then doc puts them in the registry, which generates an email to them before they even leave our office. Then they go home, they open that email. The state is then going to verify they are a Florida resident in the way, or a temporary resident. And the way they do a Florida resident is if you have to download your state ID or your driver's license, okay, in the proof of residency section. And then the state charges, this is how the state makes their money actually. They charge $75 once a year for that card. Right. Okay? So that's the process. And once they do that, the state asks 10 business days to process that. And I mean, they've been getting it done in 7 or 8 business days, but then you'll get another email allowing you to go shopping anywhere in the state. Right. Okay? Right. Then a hard card will come 3 or 4 weeks later, but the patient doesn't have to wait for the hard card to actually go shopping.
Just print out the email and take it with you.
Don't even really have to print it out, because now you take in your state ID. Now you can take in your state ID and you're in the system. So they can pull you open. So you really don't even have to do that. Okay, so that's the process to getting the card. Okay, so
and there's like just dispensaries on practically every corner now.
So here's the deal with dispensaries. I get this question all the time, Tracy. People will call me and they'll say, "Are there even any dispensaries?" I'm like, there's a ton of dispensaries.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. They're not allowed to advertise.
Right.
So you don't see them on billboards. You don't hear them on the radio station. You can Google them. They can come up organically on Google, but they're not allowed to do paid advertising as dispensaries. Okay? So I tell people, Google them. They're on, like you said, just about every corner. And then one of the things I encourage all of our patients, and I'll tell your audience, if you get a card, go to every dispensary. Go at least once, because the first thing that's happening is you're going to get a first-time buyer's deal at all of them. And so you're going to get a discount, when you go to the new dispensary. I'll even be out of town. I'll be in Tampa. There's some dispensaries that are in Tampa that aren't in Jacksonville yet.
Right.
I'll Google one that's I haven't been to, and I'll go in there and get me 25% off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, being a veteran, most of them give 20 to 23% off for veterans every day anyway. And then the great ones will let you stack it. So you get your first time at 20, and so anyway, that's what I do all day with patients is I teach them how to buy right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then patients who don't have experience with THC or CBD, I teach them how to utilize it.
Right.
Okay. That's probably what separates us from most of the other facilities around town. And I'm not knocking anybody, okay? They're getting people certified. They're doing great things. But a lot of times they're not set up in a way. They're set up for volume where they're just processing people, getting them their cards. I make sure when they come through, because I run the day-to-day operation. I've got a helper. I got Michael Estoy, who's the most amazing guy and does a lot of clerical stuff behind the scenes. We've got Dr. Halpern, who's just amazing. The patients love him. I do a lot of the grunt work, chasing research, staying up with new dispensaries that are opening, meeting with the reps, finding out what new products are working. And one of the coolest things of my job is I'll have a patient, for example, who doesn't have any THC experience. Just a couple weeks ago, I had a lady who had MS. She had never tried THC a day in her life. I believe it or not, I hadn't had a lot of MS patients. So I asked her where she lived. She lived out in the Orange Park area. And so I found a dispensary that I really trust the reps. Actually went to True Leave. Zach over at True Leave met us. They have consultation rooms. We sat down because if I know because of experience from other patients, I'll share it with them. But if it's a new something that I don't know, we can learn together.
Right.
Okay, therefore, then I'm a little bit more experienced for the next patient. So this lady and I, we went and we met. She got her email, ready to go shopping. We met at True Leave in the consultation room, and we sat there and we went over different products. She was afraid to inhale stuff.
Right.
She just wanted to do it orally. And so she learned, I learned. I'm better with MS patients today because of it, and it was just a great experience.
Well, that's customer service.
Well,
that really is the bottom line.
It is, but I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I just love it. Because me personally, like so many patients, we've been doing it. It's been legal 4 years, and I've been in business for 3.5 years. So I've gotten fairly good at it, and by doing the day-to-day operation, answering the phone all day, every day,
right,
you don't miss anything. Okay, and me personally, I smoked pot before I had a card. Okay, all right. Well, I also had concentration issues growing up. I knew, even before I learned medicinally, that marijuana worked for me. But you couldn't say anything. Because you were just that pothead over there. You weren't smoking pot because it helped you focus. It helped you do your work. It helped you in everyday life without going and taking ADHD medicine. No, you're just the pothead. Right. So as I got into the industry, and even before when it was legal in other states, I learned a lot more about it medicinally just from reading and doing research. And as I learned, and then when I started, even when I got in the industry, I'm in the marijuana industry. So it wasn't one of those things you stood up and say, guess what I do, right? But it wasn't until the first lady who, that lady came into my office. I didn't know much about, she had PTSD, yada, yada. Saw Doc. She comes back 7 months later, hugs my neck, throws down a bottle of Xanax, and she said, I was doing 3 Xanax a day, and I do none. I do none. From that day forward, I said, I don't give a darn. I'm going to be the poster child. Guess what? I use marijuana. It's medicinal. It's legal. And it helps me in life. Yeah. So I thought, you know what? Dadgummit, I'm going to scream it from the mountaintop for her. And every time, I get called a pothead and this, but I'm quick to slow them down and let's talk real, okay? Because it's not funny anymore. It's not funny to be calling people potheads and making them feel bad because, hey, listen, I can share. I don't because of HIPAA laws, I never share anything. Right. But my mom gives me permission to talk about her, okay? 76 years old. Little old Southern lady, never done marijuana a day in her life, okay? My mom has had rheumatoid arthritis for over 40 years. She's had her knuckles replaced, her knees replaced. I mean, just debilitating, crippling disease. Well, as many people know, opioids have a tendency to clog up the receptors, and that's why they quit working for people. That's why people take more. That's why they keep taking 5 when they should be taking 1. That's how they turn to heroin. That's how people overdose, okay? My mom, thank God, was smart enough to go, well, they don't work, so I ain't taking them anymore. As a result, she lived in chronic pain for a decade, not taking opioids, just living in chronic pain. Well, she got her card. Right? And what I had to teach Mom to do is low and slow, okay? The basic rules of medical marijuana, medical grade CBD, the stuff that comes from a dispensary is derived from cannabis. It's regulated. The stuff that comes from over the counter is derived from hemp. There's no regulation. It could be olive oil, okay? So I tell everybody, doesn't mean there's not good hemp, but you don't necessarily know what you're getting. But if you buy cannabis CBD, so we started Mom with that, okay? CBD is good for 2.5 things. It's good for inflammation, which, you get your inflammation down, you're going to help with your pain. It's good with anxiety. Anytime we're in chronic pain, we have anxiety. Yeah. And then the half, you know what the half is?
What's that?
Half is when you mix CBD with THC, the two together create the entourage effect, and that's what fights the chronic pain. So Mom started, she wanted to do it orally with tincture drops. She would do CBD in the morning, CBD at night, couple days, got it in her system. Okay, she's already starting to feel a little better. Then we added a little bit of THC, a little bit at a time. Now she's gotten to where she can do a full dropper. She swears it has saved her life.
There you go.
So, there you go. And I could tell stories like that all day long, Tracy, but I'll tell you, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life is to get to help people and teach them how to use marijuana.
Sure.
Yeah. So I probably overstepped my time, but...
No, you're fine. Thank you for coming in and talking about your business, your industry.
Yes, sir.
And you're welcome to come back anytime and join us.
Well, I will. I kind of like to talk.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.